So a document generator exercise where we've got a title for the document, we've got some information that we're adding into the document, we've got a folder that we want to deposit the newly created documents in, and then we've got our script that's going to run and create the documents according to the spreadsheet information. I've added in some additional content here, and this can be adjusted as needed. So let's go ahead and we'll run the script, and we'll see that the documents are going to get created, and you can open up the documents once they're created within this one folder. And there's our documents being created. We open up the document and there's the contents that is specified coming from the spreadsheet and also from the script. And these are the document IDs. So you can see that this first one, document 1, this was the ID, and that's going to correspond with the ID that's been now tracked within the spreadsheet. So that's how you can create a document creating application using GoogleAppsScript. Go ahead and create your spreadsheet, and from the spreadsheet we're going to be creating several docs. So we need a title for the doc and then any information that we want to include within the document. So add this into the spreadsheet, and I'm going to just give this sheet a name, call it docs. Go into extensions, AppScript, and we're going to open up our bound script, and this is going to generate several documents, and we can just call it generate documents. And it's be coming from the spreadsheet. First, we need to also get a folder, so the folder that we want to place the documents in. So let's go over to Drive, and within the Drive, go over to a folder, create a new folder that you want the new documents to be created in. In this case, I'm going to be selecting this folder, grab the ID, and let's bring it back into our document, and we'll just give it a folder ID. So this is going to be the folder where we're going to be depositing the files into. So let's select the folder as an object. We're going to use the Drive app service and get the folder by ID, and selecting the folder by its ID, and that's the first option there. And this is where we can use the folder ID, and that will select it into a usable object. We also want to select the sheet that we want to use. So we're going to use the spreadsheet app service. We're getting the active spreadsheet, and that's going to select whatever the spreadsheet object is that we want to use. And I'm just going to separate this out in case we want to write to the sheet or in case we want additional functionality to that concurrent spreadsheet. So separating out the spreadsheet object, and we want to get sheet by name, and the name of the sheet is whatever the name of the sheet that we want to use. In this case, it's going to be called Docs. So you can use that as a separate variable, just requesting a string value. And then what we want to do is we want to get the rows of data. So let's select the rows of data, and using the sheet object that we have, we're going to get the data range. This is going to return back all of the available object data that we have available within that particular spreadsheet and get it as values. So this is returning it back within a usable array format. I'm going to just output it into the logger log so that we can take a look and see, making sure that we've got the permissions, first of all, that are set properly. So go through the permissions accepting options and allowing the permissions, and then it should output the content of the spreadsheet into the log option. And this is going to actually be getting the headers as well, so we can then remove out the headers or start from the first row that's being returned back. So let's go ahead and we're going to select the rows using for each as we iterate through each one of the rows, and we'll get the index value of the row. And first we're going to take a condition and check to see if index is equal to 0. And if it is, then we're going to return it. So this is another way that we can skip the header row, and there's several different ways that we've gone through in a number of videos. So this is just another option that you have. Let's also then select the doc using the document app, where we can create an app and create a document. It's going to require a string value, so we can get that within the row and using its index value 0. And then we're going to just concatenate the document to this. And if we go back to there, so we're going to have document 1 and then the value of document being created to that particular document. So this is the title that we want to use. And then next we've got the body of the object that we want to use. So doc, and then we do a get body. And it's going to return back the body of the newly created document. And you can also consider that if you want to have the string value there, just whatever is within the cell, you can just use row 0 with index value of 0. And then we take the body and we're going to just append a paragraph and the contents of the paragraph. So this is going to be the contents. This is the contents. And I'm going to be just adding in, concatenating the value of row with an index value of 1. So this is going to be assuming that the second row of content is going to be what we want to actually write into the document. And you can remove this out if you just want the content from the document. In this case, I just want to indicate that we are adding that in. Let's get the ID of the newly created document, so we can use const there, and using the doc we just get the ID value, and this is going to return back the ID value. And with the ID then we can move the file. So let's get the file that we're working with, and we can do this using the Drive app service. Get file by ID. So this is get file by ID. And then we do have the ID of the file that we're selecting. And the file object will now have an option move to, and we need to just specify what our destination folder is. So we already have that option there as the destination folder. So let's save that. And then one last thing, we're going to add into the range the ID of the new folder that we just created. So selecting out the range and using the sheet, we get the range. And the range is just going to be the index value plus 1, because this is 0 based. So the index, as we're looping through the array, it's going to be 0. So for the first one, so we're adding 1 to it. And we want to write into the third column. So we just want to write one value. So we're not going to have a range. We're just writing one set value. And that value that we're going to be writing in is going to be the ID value of the newly created document that we created within this folder. So there's our folder, there's our script. Let's run the code and we'll see what if it adds it in. And then we can see within that folder, there's our documents that are being created. And once the script finishes, we should see the 3 documents by the name that we're specifying. And there's the IDs of each one of the documents that we've created. So that's how you can use GoogleAppsScript and your sheets in order to create some documents on the fly.